Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I can see some people are already sending messages and when the show is going to take, how long is it going to take. This is a 90-minute show, and we hope that in the 90 minutes we have dedicated time for comments and for questions. So, welcome to today's show. This is the DEIB Small Talk, and this is brought to you by Bavad Talent Solution. My name is Florence Ido, and I am the host and the moderator for today's program. Every other Monday, we bring to you series on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongingness, and of course, talent acquisition and management. We talk about trending issues around DEIB and recruitment. Today is a special season, it's a special session, and I have with me two amazing TA, that is talent acquisition leaders, and we'll be talking about redefining diversity. We'll be talking about diversity in sourcing and recruiting strategies. We can see the topic, it's redefining diversity in sourcing and recruitment. And I hope that by the end of today's session, you would have with you strategies, action plan that you would use for your recruitment and sourcing and why sourcing talent. Before I introduce our guests, I would like to just use this opportunity to thank Bava Talent Solution for giving us the opportunity. Bava Talent Solution is the sponsor for this show, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a backup. Okay, so I'm going to introduce my guest shortly. And for our listeners, for the question, it is 90 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. So you can schedule that. Thank you very much, Zainab. So as our guests prepare to introduce themselves and our listeners are beginning to chime in, you can always tell us where you are calling from or where you're listening from or or what platform you have or what country you have. I know a lot of people are very much interested into this program, and I look forward to see who and what questions that we would have to answer. Okay, so let's meet our guest. So let's meet Rashad. Rashad, in case I do not pronounce the name correctly, please do. I do apologize and make sure you do correct me during the session. So I believe it is Rashad Holmes. So Rashad is a diversity recruiting manager for the GM Smoker Co., where he leads the company's DEI and recruitment strategy. This includes developing supporting programs and actualizing initiatives that impact its employees, candidates, and community. During his time at Marathon Petroleum Company (MPC), Rashad served as the chair for the Black Employee Network. He also served as a diversity recruitment or recruiting lead and led change management efforts for the company-wide project called MPC Connect. In 2021, Rashid was selected as one of the top 66 early talent acquisition leaders by Way Up, which is now Yellow. And he was also a recipient of the Leadership Excellence Award by the National Diversity Council. Rashad is a proud graduate of Wiley College, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in business administration. He is an active member of his community and volunteers with several local organizations. Currently, he is a member of the Alpha Pi Alpha fraternity, a volunteer assistant varsity basket coach at Toledo Whitmer High School, the director of finance for the Whitty College National Alumni Association, and of course, many more. There is something I can see there because of my lines been scrolling, but he is a talent acquisition leader. I'm going to allow him to quickly introduce himself before I go to our next speaker. How are you doing today, Rashad? Please,
I'm
if
doing
the name is not correct, please let me know.
no, it's Rashad. You're
Oh,
pronouncing it
yeah,
correct.
I did well.
So thank you. I'm doing well. I'm fantastic today. Today is actually my 39th birthday. So I'm
Oh, I
having
really
a
wish I do
fantastic.
have the ability to say happy birthday to you, but I can do that in words. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for being here today. Can you quickly introduce yourself to our
Yes.
listeners before
Yep.
I introduce my second speaker?
Yes. Well, thank you. Again, my name is Rashad Humes, and I use pronouns he, him, and his. I've been with the JM Smucker Company for 1 year and 2 weeks. So I started last September, and we're making strides within our DEI, or we like to call it and address it as inclusion, diversity, and equity, how we choose to go about it. We're making strides in our journey. And, I'm excited to be here and talk about some of the things that we have been able to do to help move the needle in our company and provide some suggestions and maybe help clarify some things for the listeners.
Thank you very much, Rashad. I really appreciate you being here today, despite it being your birthday. I want to say happy birthday to you, and on behalf of Baba Talent Solution, I also say happy birthday. I can also see some of our listeners sending their love and happy birthday message to you. Happy birthday to you, and happy birthday to you also, Whitley. Thank you for joining us today. You have a birthday mate anyway by the chat. So many are coming in. Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you for the wishes.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm quickly going to introduce our second speaker. The and she is another amazing TA experts. Before I show you the meet Celia, I just want to say a fun fact is one thing I like about Celia's experiences is the military recruitment. And I know that she's gonna tell us a lot about that because that's another aspect of diversity. And okay, don't let me say too much. Let me just introduce her. Okay, let's meet Celia. Cecilia is a military and early career programs manager at Builders First Source. Builders for Souls is the nation's largest supplier of building materials for new residential construction, repair, and remodeling. Celia brings over 8 years of experience in military recruiting space, supporting national and global organizations in the development of their military programs. She received her bachelor's degree in 2018 from Baker College in Human Resources Management. And okay. Although Celia did not serve in the military herself, which is a fun fact, anyways, she is the daughter, a sister, a granddaughter, a niece, and a friend to many veterans. She lives in the North Carolina with her husband, Kenny. Hello, Kenny, if he's listening, along with two German Shepherd, Sage and Eva. They spend their free time hiking the Blue Ridge Mountains, camping, and CrossFit. Thank you very much. I'm going to bring Celia now to the stage. Thank you very much, Celia. Thank you for joining us today. I really do appreciate. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners quickly and let them get to know you from the horse's mouth?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Celia Croft, and I am the Military and Early Careers Programs Manager for Builders First Source. So, my role and responsibility is really revolving around our military recruiting efforts, hiring those individuals that are transitioning out of the military into their first civilian career. We also have a strategy around recruiting veterans, and the DoD is the most diverse workforce in the country. So we really utilize that to our advantage to help diversify our workforce as well. On the early careers side, that is everything from high schools to VOTEX, colleges. We are in the midst of campus recruiting season right now. So I am on the road constantly, but we do a lot of that, through just really through partnerships and, partnering with a variety of different student organizations and student groups, but we can touch on that here more in a little bit.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time here today. I know I had to schedule this time with you for a very long time because I've been following you for some time, and I know that being in the military recruitment space or the military recruiting space, it's a different ball game entirely. And I look forward to see what value that you're gonna bring to this discussion today and learn from you. I'm very sure that most of our listeners, wherever they are from different areas, different angles, and they are listening. Don't be deceived by the number of life you see. There are a lot of people that this algorithm is not catching. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for that short and brief introduction. And once again, I like to introduce myself because despite being an host, I am much more. Okay, let's meet me too. My name is Florence. And I'm a human resources and talent acquisition business partner with both corporate and agent experience. My expertise is usually in the recruitment and staffing, organization development, employee support services, HR transformation, team alignment, people analytics, and of course, DEIB. In the last years, I have positioned myself as a strategic leader and business partner with organization in ways that I connect and I empower both I, myself, and my team to solve business problems by leveraging innovative strategies with integrated technologies in both practices and policies. I am a talent strategist. As a DEI consultant and, of course, a person of color, I have developed the capacity to guide organizations in implementing their DEIB policies and strategies by providing tactical training, implementing challenging initiatives, and encouraging them to embrace the ever changing world. And I am Florence Idowu. And, of course, also the show host and moderator for today. Okay, so now let's go into business. We want to talk about something amazing, something strategic, something critical, something sensitive. You can use different synonyms to talk about it. And it's just one word: diversity. There may be a little lag. I don't know. There's a lot going on right now in the states. Like Celia is currently there is an hurricane alert, I guess so, and I really hope that it's you'll be safe. That's the most important thing. I hope you'll be safe. That's and I want to thank you too for being here. Despite your busy schedule, I know I had to keep track with Rashad too. Like, are you? Is this the time? Is that? Can we still have this session today? And I'm glad I have both of you here. I'm really glad. I'm really
Thank
glad.
you. Thank you. I literally just came from a National Society of Black Engineers brunch not too long ago. So just making sure, like my counterpart said, it's campus recruiting season, and I'm doing some campus recruiting as well. So I'm all over here, there, and everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making time. Yeah. To our listeners, I want to say is if you have questions, you can let those questions start coming in because when we what we want to do is we want to redefine diversity. There has been a lot of takes, a lot of tips, a lot of essays, topics around diversity. But we want to make sure that every organization, everybody listening, every TA leaders, talent acquisition leaders, HR leaders, and even business leaders understand what diversity actually and really means. And that is why we have this session today and the title Redefining Diversity. Celia is a recruiter, Rashid is a recruiter. I'm also a recruiter, so I get it. I know what I'm talking about. And this is something that we've been in this business for years. And we understand the protocol. We understand when leaders say, I want a diverse pool. We know what they are talking about. But sometimes we do not have a magic wand to just create one. So we want to provide that's magic one. We want to create it. We want to give you the ingredients. We want to give our audience the ingredients of creating that magic one so that when leaders say we want a diversity, diversity in the pipeline. That is always the word, diversity in the pipeline. We know exactly what they're talking about, and we help our audience, our listeners, to also be able to strategize, create an action plan, and on how to achieve this. Okay, so I just want to quickly go through the comments. I want to say thank you for joining us, everyone. If you're joining us, if this is your first time joining us on this show, we do appreciate your audience. We appreciate you being here. We have this program every other Monday and a special program on the last Friday of the month to make sure that everybody can participate in our value, and the value we bring. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first question. Okay, I have it here somewhere around here. Yes. Not really question. I wouldn't say but a topic. We want to redefine diversity, but before we can redefine something or a concept, it means there is a definition. And one thing everyone understands, and I don't mind if the audience can tell me what you think about diversity. You can put your thoughts about what you think diversity means to you. We would appreciate, and I would ally them as they come in. So now back to defining diversity. When we hear diverse, oh, it's now one of the most common words, commonly used words, commonly researched word, commonly talked word in business meetings. You hear diversity. We have diversity statements. We have policies around diversity. We have so many things now around diversity after the death of George Floyd in 2020. So now we have a definition of diversity, and it is having difference or different people or people from different background or people that do not look like me or people that are just different from you in the same space. It's about having a mix of all in a space. That is what my concept of diversity is, and I believe that that is what everyone would think diversity is. But what actually is diversity? So this is how I'll go. I have Celia on top, then I have Rashad. So I will take it um, one by one so that we can have it in a very much organized way. So Celia, if you had to define diversity, how would you how would you put it?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we focus on at Builders First Source is the diversity of thought. So yes, everyone comes from different backgrounds. They all have their experiences, but we really want to pull that into the organization to set ourselves up for success for the future. If everyone thinks the same way and if everyone comes to the table with the same ideas, we're going to be stagnant. So we really want to make sure that the individuals that we're bringing in, whether it be their experiences, it be their cultural backgrounds, it be their educational background, it be, the variety of different groups there or organizations that they're a part of. We want to make sure that we provide an environment to bring all of those different areas to the table through diversity of thought, not only to make us better and to make us succeed for the future, but to help them succeed as well and get them connected to other areas of the organization or partners or networking internally to help them grow as well.
Hmm, thank you very much. I like something that you said, and that's a diversity of thoughts. So, which actually means the diversity is more than diversity of color. It's more than diversity of ethnicity, of age, of gender, or even diversity of thought. Rashid, what will you say about diversity?
No, so I definitely agree with Celia. So diversity of thought is one of the things that we look for as well. In addition, we know the traditional uh, definition of what diversity is when we think of it within the workplace, but we also like to think of the experience as well. So that can be anything ranging from the internship experience all the way to the executive level experience, and how will this team come together to work to achieve a similar objective for on behalf of the company. So all things: gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, preference, background, religious background, all of those things can be diverse and classified as diverse. And we basically want to make sure that we bring everybody in where they can be themselves and feel like that their opinion is heard, shared, and work toward the team goal of the company.
Thank you very much. So now let's just go straight to I have on the UC talent acquisition or talent management. Today we're talking about diversity in sourcing and recruitment. So I want to streamline that to sourcing and recruitment because diversity is very vast, very broad, and we can talk about diversity in industry. We can talk about diversity in even departments in different areas in training. We can talk about today. We want to look into diversity in the recruitment and sourcing. And we want to look into strategies that we can put together to tap into that diverse talent or candidates pool wherever they are. So today I'm looking into how would you define diversity in recruitment and sourcing? How would you? How I will throw this question to Rashad.
You say you want to make sure that you find diversity in recruiting and sourcing.
Yes, how would you define diversity in recruitment and sourcing?
Yeah, so basically, one of the best definitions that I have heard, or just one of the ways to do this, is where your company is least represented in what you want to find from a diversity perspective. Go to places where you'll find the most and majority of that population to immerse yourself within that talent that's around. So, for companies, that could be anything, right? So, if you're looking for women in leadership at that level, then you want to make sure that you're registering to go to professional development conferences or women's professional organizations where you can establish yourself and place yourself amongst that group and that target of candidates that you are looking for. A lot of people use the HBCUs and Hispanic serving HBCUs being historically Black colleges and universities, and HSIs being Hispanic serving institutions for uh, intern talent because they want to increase from a university relations standpoint. Like, these are our early career programs numbers, and we need to get better there. So they will go where a concentration of those students are black or brown, and use that as an avenue to help increase their race, ethnicity, diversity metrics amongst early career professionals. So that's the best definition that I've heard of it, or just the most reasonable way. Where your company is lacking, go to the places that are overwhelmingly populated to help increase what you need there.
So where your company is lacking, go find a place that has abundance of those talents you need. Over to you, Celia. What will be your take on this?
I was muted, sorry.
So,
Definitely, you would think after 3 years of virtual conferences, I'd know how to use the unmute and mute button by now. But anyways, so I definitely agree. You know, you want to go to where that talent is. You need to go to them. Start building your brand and start building your relationship and establishing those partnerships there. Another way that we approach this here at Builders First Source is we've identified where our gaps are. You know, what does that next generation look like? You know, and how do we bring those individuals in and bring them along for the process, right? Bring them along on the journey, and let's hear directly from them what they want that future to look like for our organization, and they're helping us shape that. And it's definitely been fun, and it's been interesting, and it's been very rewarding to really be able to build these strategies and programs from the ground up. But we've been able to target specific positions or specific titles within our company that we want to make this focus on. And this is not just at our corporate level. This is company wide. And we're really looking at that generation that is either at or currently above retirement age. You know, what does the next 0 to 5 years look like, and how do we want to kind of shift what our workforce is going to bring to the table, and how are we going to diversify that even more than we have thus far?
thank you very much. Thank you very much, you two, for this submission that you just gave. And I just want to draw out something from what both of you said, looking into the various perspectives that you brought is talent shortage, or when we're talking about diversity or diverse talent shortage, is is a thing though, but I wouldn't say it's not really a thing if you can find, but it's a thing. But you have to be very strategic in finding it. Okay, so thank you very much. I know that we have been able to define diversity the best way we are able to, and now we just want to look into redefining it. And redefining it is not just about giving a different definition, it's about talking about it, it's about highlighting its strength and maybe some weaknesses and how to overcome those weaknesses. And there are five things that I have for us today. One, I want us to first of all define it. Two, I want us to look into the criteria of diversity. And when we're talking about diversity, we have different types. We have, like for instance, Rashad could be focusing on a different diversity candidate or pool, while Celia is also focusing on a different one, and I focus on a different one. But when hiring manager come in, all what they say is we want a diverse candidate. We want diversity in the pool. So now how would we tell if we want to tell hiring managers about diversity in terms of recruitment and sourcing? How can we coach hiring managers in this area so they can understand the criteria when we are talking about diversity? Okay, Rashad.
Hey, so that's a great question. Thank you, Florence, for that question. One of the things that we like to do is we use the intake session with hiring managers to be able to educate and help them prep and gather information.
Mhm.
So, one, the company should have a specific focus that they want to go to that's aligned for every employee to know, like, okay, this is the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy, and this is what's important to the company. Then, two, once that intake meeting takes place, We like to come and bring along a few insights. And then from there, we can educate the hiring managers on what the talent market looks like, what the pool is like, and then we can have that conversation to mix and match ideas and thoughts. One thing that I have learned over the years, being in the talent acquisition space and being a partner, I had to shift my mentality from being a customer service, customer focused based talent acquisition professional and treat it like the customer is always right, to stopping that and saying, you know what, I'm a subject matter expert in my space, and I am a valued partner. So instead of just making sure that the hiring manager is happy, let me bring to him or her or they and let them know this is what I know, and this is the space, and this is the insight that I can bring to you. So during that intake meeting, that's where we educate a lot, and we get the opportunity to define what a diverse slate means, what the company's policy is, key in and include like, hey, remember these are the company's goals when it comes to ID&E. We want to make sure that the representation that the candidates will see when they interview with an interviewing team is reflective of where we are and where we're trying to go from an ID&E standpoint. And then just talk about, I like to include, hey, this is some of the professional organizations. These are the costs to using those posts in some of those more targeted places. You're open to doing this, discussing whose budget that will come out of, what this looks like, if we need to go ahead and do that within the first, 1, 2, 3 weeks, what the touch base is going to look like, but just having a plan outside of the inside of the traditional plan from a regular intake meeting, because it requires a little bit of more work to actually receive the results that you want and get everybody on page. It's not just, we all know it's not just the post and pray. And a lot of times the hiring managers may not be keyed in to what we need to do to help get the best talent that we possibly can and source efficient talent from a diverse representative of candidates. So that's some of the things that we do. And I'll let Celia take that and put her
Yeah.
spin on it.
Before I give Celia the opportunity to speak our own mind in this aspect, you talked about something about being operational, moving away from the customer service recruiter to moving to a subject matter expert, and that is something that is one area that most recruiters are now they're getting it wrong. It is not being a recruiter, you're not taking orders anyway. Even though you're taking requisition, you're not taking orders because it is in your own job. It is a job of a recruiter to coach hiring managers, to tell them we have every organization have a strategic plan. We have organizations with 5 year goals. We have organizations with 10-year goals, and even some have as long as 50 years as their long term goals. We want to be generational. I've heard so much organizations talk about how they want to be generational. That is a very, very long time planning. But let's go to the short term goals, which every organization should have, which is the 5 years. And in that 5 years, we have it highlighted. It could just be three, it could be two, it could be five, it could be 10 goals and objectives. And everybody in the organization, it is our duty, it is the duties of every employee to work towards the achievement of their goal. And as a recruiter, you also have that duty. It's not just about you sit down, you get received or you get to receive the requisition and you talk to the hiring manager, you take the intake. Of course, every recruiter will take the intake and you get to understand what the ideal candidate is. And you said, okay, what is your timeline? And you're like, okay, this is it. These are the candidate I was able to source, and you close the deal. Being a recruiter is much more than that. I'm going to allow Celia to speak shortly, but being a recruiter is more. A recruiter needs to move away from being operational to strategic. You are in a position to coach business leaders. Like I do tell one of my HR business partner that I have been given the power to influence leaders through my role. I have been given the power to represent my candidates through my role, and that allows me to influence certain decisions in the little way I can. as a talent acquisition consultant, or there are different titles, anyways, or specialist, or whatever you are, whatever title you have, you handle talent acquisition. You have been given the power, you've been given the authority to stand in the position of power to coach. Maybe not to maybe not I'm not asking you to become a dictator that this is who you should go for or this is the best, no, but to influence certain decisions because you got to present your candidates. And representing diverse candidates actually requires more than when you represent a non-diverse candidate. But because I want us to define that diversity when we're talking about representing a diverse candidate or not, but I want Celia to go into the point because this topic is very critical for me and I can keep going on and on. So Celia, please tell us what you think about what we're just talking about.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. And I think that there really needs to be that strategic mindset, not only from the talent acquisition standpoint, but also the hiring manager. Yes, you want the best candidate for that job, but let's also look 5, 10 years down the road. What does the business landscape look like at that time? Or what are you forecasting it look at that time? And how can our recruiting efforts now and our pipeline developments now and our partnerships now feed what it's going to look like 5, 10 years down the road, even 6 months down the road, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of changes over the last year. I mean, and how quickly things are changing in the business landscape. So, really being able to be that subject matter expert and really being able to think strategically. Yes, we need to be tactical, but yes, we also need to be that partner, right? We're not just the specialist, the talent acquisition specialist. We really need to be a partner not only to that hiring team, but also to HR, right? I mean, yeah, we're an arm of HR, and we should be able to support them as well, through guiding these conversations and through working with the hiring teams, looking at the here and now, but also, in the future and what that's going to look like for their team.
Thank you very much. Okay, so my next question is going to move towards policies and initiative. And we've been talking about supporting HR, we've been talking about being a partner to the business in terms of talent acquisition. And we all know, we are all aware of the importance of talent acquisition. The success or the failure of any business relies on that foundation, which is talent acquisition. But sometimes the policies around diversity, even if organizations have come to say that they want diversity, we have the diversity statement, we have the EEOC, we have all those policies, but I want to talk about internal organization policies. What policies can organization create internally, or what initiative can they create internally to support their diversity movement? I want Celia to go ahead because I want to see how you can bring this from the military aspect, the military recruitment, and see ways that we can advise hiring leaders or hiring managers and business leaders on ways that they can refine their policies or assess what they currently have, their diversity or hiring culture in regards to diversity.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we have started to do, and we are very new in the D&I journey. So I do want to kind of put that caveat out there. So we're not as developed as Rashad's team right now. So we're getting there, I promise. But one of the things that we have really started to do, and I kind of mentioned this, is really looking at our current workforce and kind of what does the next 0 to 5 years look like. We're really focusing on that generation that is either at or above retirement age right now, and how are we going to backfill them? And when we are presenting candidates, we look at their current workforce. What is their racial makeup? What is the educational background? What is the sexual orientation background? We really look at all of those different things right now to see where we can kind of plug and play, if you will, those diversity initiatives as we are building our programs out. So from a military perspective, we really focus on the military from a leadership side of things. So whether you are junior enlisted or you are a five-star general, you have leadership experience that is invaluable. And especially within our operations and the type of work that we do, it is very structured and it is very operational from a manufacturing and a distribution perspective. So from a military standpoint, that's really what we're focusing on, is that leadership aspect, and then how to grow those individuals into leaders with us, whether that be at the locations as an operations manager, assistant general manager, or even a general manager, moving up through that chain and into our corporate positions as well. So how are we able to leverage that military background and what it is that they're doing there and bring that into us? We can teach someone the business, right? You can teach someone the products, you can teach someone how to build a truss, but we really are trying to leverage what they've learned and gained in the military, by working with diverse groups of people. You're working with individuals from around the world on a regular basis. You're working with limited resources under very high stress situations. These are individuals that are making, one of these individuals, especially your lower enlisted individuals, they could be making worldwide impact decisions while they are overseas and they're 21 years old, right? So how do we leverage what their experiences are, and how do we leverage what they've done in the military and apply that back into our business, is really where our focus has been now, and will be growing and moving forward.
That's a great. That's amazing. I remember I had a conversation with one of our speaker actually on Monday, and we also talked about so much diversity in terms of military. He's also a veteran, actually 20 years, he even got to the highest rank, and he said so much. Sometimes it's just about change of mentality. Being a veteran, you've acquired so much experiences more than you can imagine. You have a very enlarged mindset. It's just for them to be able to find someone, a support system, to help them navigate through the processes and the transition and program. And I know because I am seeing some people saying here that they help certain people. Okay, this is refugee. I know someone. If you are a veteran out there, I don't know if Celia is ready to help you through the transition and process. I believe she can. But if you also need someone to help you through, I you can always reach me on LinkedIn. On My name is the same anyway. It's Florence IDOWU Idowu. Reach me on LinkedIn, and I'll be able to connect you with speakers and coaches that can actually help you navigate through the journey. I'm gonna give Rashad a different question. Still the same question on the policies and initiative, but we both of you are from different industries, and why she may be able to speak more on the military aspect because she's actively, that is just her space, that is her expertise, the military recruitment. The way you approach diversity as a diversity leader or recruitment leader may be different from the way she approaches it. And you're working in the manufacturing industry, correct me if I'm wrong and start to be corrected, but I know that is it. So how would you say your organization, or you as a person, you as a leader, approach diversity policies, and what initiative do you put in place to practicalize the policies, or actualize the policies, or support these policies to make sure that diversity recruitment is a success?
Yeah, That's another great question too. And I will say, Celia said that they're not as far in their journey as us. We're about a year into our journey, and it's an everyday journey. I remind people and I let people know this is a journey. You take steps toward a journey. It's the destination. It's an approaching destination, and even then, you still need to have some grace, and make sure that you are allowing yourself to learn and consistently be eager for an education within this space. So it's not that we're experts by no means. We're just taking steps within this journey along with every other company. Now, when we talk about policies versus initiatives, one of the things that we like to do, we want to make sure that everything is stemming from the basic beliefs that we have within the company, and those are really the cultural defining characteristics of the company, and things have to, they have to stem from those before we do anything. So when we start taking a look at, okay, if we want to be kind, do the right thing, thrive together, which are three of the five basic beliefs that we have as a company, that's where diversity, equity, and inclusion comes into play. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. We thrive better together when we have talent that can have, different opinions, express different things, experiences, backgrounds, and then, just being kind. That's the correct thing to do. That's overall. So we look at that and we say, okay, what's an initiative from here to help increase representation of underrepresented communities within the workforce? And we'll research first. That's one of the things that we like to do. So I'll tell you, prior to me actually coming into the organization, one of the things that the James Smucker Company was able to do, they worked with the McKinsey company, and they looked at the ecosystem, the talent ecosystem that they have within human resources, and how they wanted to approach ID&E. So there were positions that were created within HR to say, hey, these are the lapses you have. This is how you can go ahead and get up to speed and start this work. And one of those, I'm fortunate enough that was the creation of my position. So as I'm here now, we take a look and see, okay, from a recruiting standpoint, what can we do at every level? So from the early career programs level to the the experienced employee level to the executive level, what are the different things that we can do there? What can we do throughout the company? And what we've decided to do from an initiative standpoint, starting at the university relations level, we want to go to the places, like I said, where the talent is overwhelmingly in the favor of the goals that we're trying to make sure that we hit. So,
I'm going to cut you short at one point there before you move ahead. You talked
yep,
about how you had to invite, I believe it's McKinsey, to help with the assessment processes.
hmm yep,
Trust me, there's so many organizations that do not want to indulge or invest in diversity supplier. I
yeah,
want you to be very strategic in the way you're going to answer this. How would you advise them? Like, because I don't know how you want diversity. You want your diversity policies and initiative to work. Coming together some plans of action is very easy. Implementation is the most important thing when it comes to diversity. It's not something that's going to work in just a year. Diversity is something that you do an entry, you do a consulting, you go execute, you review, you execute, you review, and it's something like it's a long life planning.
hmm hmm
It's just like when we start to talk about our succession planning. Please
yep.
go ahead. You're gonna say something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so we've actually given ourselves the opportunity to say, hey, this is where we want to be over a 5-year span. So if you take a look out there on our website, we do have these goals that we've placed ahead of ourselves, and we put them out there publicly for accountability to the public, but it's over a 5-year span. So we want to, you know, double the double the representation of people of color within our salary workforce by 2027 from where it currently is. And we want to increase the number of uh, women that we have in leadership in salary positions for the company by 2027. So with that, we've given ourselves an actual goal, and what we can do, we track and measure the data up against that, where we are, where we were, and where we are going, to make sure that strategically we are, one, keeping ourselves accountable, two, making sure that we communicate that throughout the company so people know what the goal is, and then three, how are we following that up with plans and making sure that our recruiting is strategic to make sure that we hit those targets. So it's something that you continuously have to plan, check, and do. Plan, check, and do. Plan, check, and do anytime, and you have to keep it at the top of the mind. I'm very sports inclined, so everything that I do and I say, I follow up with, what's the scoreboard? How do you know if you're winning or you're losing? If we talk about it and you feel like you're doing a lot of activity, but you're not actually checking to say, okay, this is where we were 6 months ago, this is where we are currently, and then from a projection standpoint, this is where we can be in the next quarter, then you may just be doing and running around and doing a lot of activity. It's a consistent plan, check, do along with this journey.
Thank you very much. That is not it. We're going to go to the second round, which is the sourcing strategy. But before we do that, guests that are listening, thank you very much for joining. If you have question, please feel free to drop your question in the comment sections. I'm taking track. My team are also taking track to make sure that um, we're going to answer every question. I want to thank those who are already here. Thank you, Zainab, for joining us. Thank you, Wesley, for joining us. Matthew, thank you. I see you, Terry. Thank you. Sarah, thank you for joining us. I can see some names that are not they're in codes. Thank you for joining us. Hannah, thank you for joining us. Matthew, thank you for joining us. Ibukunlua, thank you for joining us. I can see that Hannah says she's from Open Door Policies and it's a non-profit organization that trains, let me see if I can, that trains and connects refugee talent to remote work opportunities. So if you're interested in exploring refugee talents pool, please do reach Hannah. Hannah Hilsel will be able to help. That's another aspect of diversity. If you're not following us on YouTube, you are wrong. There's someone that always say that if you're not following us on YouTube, you are totally wrong. Do connect with us on YouTube. You can always have our replays and go back to our content to learn more, even in case you missed the session. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate. I would appreciate that, so you can also learn more. So now we're going to go to the most important thing. We've been able to talk about the criteria because I want to make sure that we have time for questions. So we want to go to the sourcing now, the sourcing and recruitment, and that will be building the pipeline. Okay, it seems Celia quickly excused herself. Okay, I like that slide. Look at the way she just sliding.
Sorry. My dogs bark at the
Oh,
wind, and of course, we're going through a hurricane right now, so everything keeps hitting the house. So I
please
wanted to get
make
them
sure you
calmed down real
exit.
quick.
If
Sorry
you
about
need to
that.
leave, no, that's fine. If you need to, your safety is very much important. So if you need to leave or change your location, please feel free. I believe that the audience will understand because we want to make sure you are safe.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
Hurricane is a bad one, and I
Yeah,
don't pray there's gonna be. I don't pray for any huge or big or even small damage. I just hope you're safe.
thank
That's the
you.
most important thing. Okay, so now we want to go into the recruitment and the sourcing strategies because that's all we premise our listeners. So now, how can you feel free? I want this to be very interactive. We've done the whole one-on-one session, so feel free to jump in whenever you think you have something important to say. You can also use the. I believe you have access to the chat and comments. So if you have access to that, you can also use the comment section to put in anything or link you think. Just do it. So now we want to build a pipeline. And the pipeline we're talking about is the talent pool. Candidates pipeline, pipeline, and so much more. But now, when hiring manager comes to us, every organization are beginning to have the diversity goal for the year. And they want to have, let's hire maybe a diverse person to our team. The first thing as a recruiter is to build that pipeline. So now, what do you think, or what strategies can we use in building a diversity pipeline? Anyone can go first.
Yeah, I'll kick it off if you don't mind. So a couple of ways that we've done this. I mean, again, these are the programs that I and my team manage, our military and early careers. So on the military side, we have partnered ourselves directly with the Department of Defense as one pipeline. It is called the Skill Bridge. This allows us to bring in transitioning service members in their last 180 days of active duty service, where they're able to get trained in a job that would lead into full-time employment once they separate. So one, we are getting them directly into our workforce. They have, they're not having the opportunity, if you will, to necessarily go to another employer and then come to us, right? We're able to bring them right into our company directly out of the military to leverage that experience and skill sets that they have into our organization. And we bring individuals in every level of our organization. We've brought in entry level into manufacturing all the way up through our director and executive team. So this is a program that has worked very well for us. We do a lot of partnerships directly with the Army through the Army Pays program, which is another recruiting pipeline where we're able to directly hire those individuals right out of the Army. Um, we do have a lot of partnerships directly with a variety of different veteran service organizations, from the VA to other nonprofits. We also have partnerships directly with military installations. They have their transition offices on the installations, and everyone that is leaving the military must go through transition education before they get out to prepare them for the civilian world. So we have a direct contact with those individuals that are in front of those individuals transition on a daily basis. On average, there are about 500,000 individuals that leave the service every year. Some states have a higher percentage than others, but in those areas like Texas and Florida and Washington State and California, those states have very high veteran populations. So, if your locations cover multiple states, kind of identifying what that veteran population looks like and how you can partner with those state nonprofit organizations there. And then I'm going to switch gears for just one moment on the early career side. We've developed an internship program that is a traditional summer internship, 12 weeks. We've identified, again, back to kind of identifying where our retiring workforce is. Those internship positions will eventually be backfilling those internal or those retirements. So obviously over the course of a period of time through training and education, but our internship programs then lead into a trainee program, and that trainee program is rotational, where they see all of the different areas of our business to really prepare them to take over and move into a leadership role down the way. We partner with a variety of different student organizations, as I had mentioned before. Rashad mentioned NSBE earlier, so we're very familiar with NSBE and the organization as a whole. Attending diversity conferences and really getting in touch with those students where they're at. Going to the HBCUs, going to the diversity conferences. If you're on campus for a career fair, how do you get in touch with that student group while you're on campus? Let's get some FaceTime with them. Really going to them and meeting them where they're at, not only to discuss the organization and the opportunities from an employment perspective, but also to present those just to present the opportunities to them. They may have no idea. I always joke around that we are the largest 500 Fortune 500 company that no one has ever heard of, and that's the truth, right? We do business to business. We're not a consumer or a consumer-facing organization. So really taking that to the individuals where they are and just educating them about the opportunities we have, not only in the here and now, but also what that career path looks like. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, that was long-winded.
That's I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put this because I'm becoming so specialized. But you can never say you lack diversity. You can never. That is why when organizations say they don't have diversity, the very first thing I ask them is, what do you define? What do you think? What kind of diversity are you looking at? Are you looking at it in terms of disability? Like, let me quickly highlight this. I believe Sarah. This is Sarah. Her name is not showing, but she said she has a diversity seat for the federal employed women, and she's looking to connect with fellow DEI. Let me just read this from LinkedIn because I think I can say it directly from LinkedIn. She's looking to connect with fellow DEI specialists or experts and special emphasis on disabilities and veterans. So I know quite a number of experts that they are either focused on, I mean, diverse suppliers now, or professional members that they are very much focused on maybe the disability, maybe the veteran, maybe gender, women. There's so many of them. There's so many professional boards out there. And this is like a very good source to tap. Okay, maybe it's expensive. Maybe it's expensive. Maybe it's going to cost you some money and you don't want to spend money. What are, we're going to talk about the non-expensive way right now. That will be the thought in before Rashad is going to give his own opinion about this. We're going to talk about the non-expensive way. But let's talk about the usual way first. Please, Rashad, go on.
No, I want to talk about the non-expensive way
Thank
too.
you.
I want to talk about some of the things that you possibly can do, and I think that those are some of the actual effective ways that you can be impactful in the space, right? Because I think those may be the ways that you may come across more genuine, as opposed to when the company has the opportunity to put a little dollars behind it, right? It's all needed. Trust me, it's all needed. But I think for those that may say, "Hey, you know, we don't have the major brand backing behind us, and we have to account for every dollar." One of the things that I'll tell you that I still like to do is, once we do have that intake meeting and when we speak and we are going out there to target candidates, the employee value proposition, really just sitting down, taking time, getting that out of my hiring manager so I can really, really create a great message, just an introductory message based on a LinkedIn conversation with the candidate.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll tell you, I'll still use my personal LinkedIn, as it doesn't come across as a recruit in message. It just comes across as a very genuine message. I'll use that. But within that, I've actually taken the time to think about what this actual message that I craft is going to say, and with the job spec sheet that I give to the candidates, because I don't want them to do anything. They just need to have a couple of clicks, maybe one or two, get to the job and apply after the conversation that we have. I'm really heavy on why this is a good role for them. So just make sure that you do a lot of the pre-work, have that spec sheet, figure out candidates, look at that target market. Maybe you want to filter out by school, create a list of candidates from LinkedIn and go about it. If you want to be um, considerate of cost and everything you do from a sourcing strategy, then with that, you always want to take a look and see where you are, like proximity wise. So if you are in the greater Cleveland area, greater Detroit area, let's say a smaller town maybe, you want to know what organizations are around me. Who can I actually get in contact with? Can I get in contact with the National Urban League? When do they have their meetings? Do they have meetings virtually? Do they have hybrid meetings? Are there events going on in the city? Where can I go and talk about this position that I have? Who's in my circle that I can tell the details of this position to? And they'll amplify those voices out to other candidates. And where is that target market going to be at? And that's something that you can do if you don't want to spend a lot of dollars. Then there are still job boards out there who are free or close to nothing that you can take into consideration. We're fortunate enough to be establishing some relationships with some pretty good job boards, those that run job boards for the likes of, Divine Nine Greek letter organizations, some military recruiting job boards, and others that cost a nice amount of money. But if you're going to be more conscious about the dollars that you spend, because maybe you are a startup, or maybe you are a government agency, or just somebody that doesn't want to put a lot of money into this because you can't, then look for some of those that may be able to be a little bit more on the less costly side or closer to free. I know there are some great ones. I would have to get back to you. If you're interested, I can help you create a list, and then we can attack it from there. But that's one of the things you can do. And never underestimate like what common conversation can do for you if there's an organization. So one of the things that I do as well, take a look at all the professional organizations. They have chapters, they have chapter email addresses. This may be a shot in the dark for some. For me, I have taken the time to go ahead and craft messages and try to create a database to capture that information. But once I do that, hey, let's just say NABA, National Association of Black Accountants, if they have chapters in Cleveland, Columbus, Detroit, Chicago, then I'm actually emailing those chapters to say, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I have to spend. Is there some way that we can specifically work together to help me post positions on your board, find candidates? Can you mention this within a meeting there? Just something like that, and just play on the actual common conversation. All they can do is tell you a yes or a no. Yeah,
Exactly.
and from there, you might get lucky enough to actually find some members and then look them up on LinkedIn and send them that same direct message.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, but those are some of the when you're talking about cost setting or cost savings, what you can do. You got to get creative in this game. Like some people say, you don't always have to buy the big sponsorships. Maybe sometimes you just go to the actual conferences and you go to the host hotel and you talk to the candidates. Chances of somebody being chances of
You
somebody
probably
being in
find one.
that's it. It's very high. I'm just being 100% honest with you. If you
Absolutely.
live like close to a city like San Antonio and a national conference is coming, and man, go down to that host hotel, just mix and mingle, dress accordingly, and talk to the people and let them know the positions that you have. You never know what may happen.
Yeah.
I'm just 100.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to piggyback off of that. Our military recruiting budget was zero for the first 2 years. Zero. All of the networking with the transition offices, the Skill Bridge program, the Army Pays program, all of the networking and contacts with the variety of different veteran service organizations. That's all free. There is no cost associated with that at all. So a great point on that. I mean, it really just comes down to networking and getting your foot in the door and finding out where those, what population of people those individuals serve and how does it fit into your organization.
Hmm. Okay, thank you quickly because I know we're going to have a second part to this section for our listeners. It's not a topic we can finish in a single show. Definitely, in 90 minutes, it's not. Diversity is very huge, very vast than that. But quickly, I want us to go into the filtering process. And that was, like, for instance, LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn has been one of the commonly used tool in terms of sourcing. If you're doing interview with a recruiter, like a recruiter interviewing a recruiter, now you're the first, one of the first questions, or one of the main questions that we always like to ask and know is, what are your sourcing strategies? And when I hear recruiters saying more than LinkedIn, I respect them. But because we need to, LinkedIn is very good if you know how to use it, but there's so many sources out there that we can also get and tap into when sourcing, depending on the industry. Like, I know I do have some sessions because I also consult with organizations, and I look into their recruiting system to see ways that I can help enlarge their candidates pipeline or pool. And one of the things is they ask us, how do you source? And when I begin to mention some names, they were like, does that exist? Oh yeah, it does. There's so many, but it's just that as no one outgrows learning. That is just it. As a recruiter, no matter, even if you're eating, you're closing those deals in less than 45 days, whatever your time to fill is, there are some sources that you get those candidates. But I want us to move away from sourcing. I will probably create another session where we'll just talk about sourcing, and we'll begin to look into different sources for different industry, because there are different sources for different industry, to be sincere. But I want to go into the filtering process using LinkedIn as a case study. And I'm glad we already talked about the inexpensive way, which LinkedIn happened to be one of them. Maybe if you are using the free LinkedIn, one of them. If you're using the paid, the premium subscription, maybe not so expensive as some other job boards out there. Definitely not LinkedIn Recruiter because that one is super expensive. Okay, now let's go to the filtering process. One of the challenges that I have come across, and I've had recruiters when I engage other recruiters or talent acquisition experts, is the filtering process. When they say they want diversity, LinkedIn does not have a feature to filter diversity. In terms of diversity, you cannot choose the demographic you want the target. You cannot say how can you do it. But I know that through Boolean search, that is my own suggestion, you can do this. But I want my speakers, I want you guys to talk about this just quickly so that we can take questions if we have any. We have just 20 minutes left for the show.
Yeah, I'll say so. What it allows you to do is actually take a look, and you can filter out by school. You can filter out by professional organizations. You can look and see what the keywords that you can put in. So it gives you there's the opportunity as an example, if I'm looking for a marketing brand manager, and I want to find out like, okay, where's a marketing brand manager at? If I have a specific population that I want to target, then I know that there is 100 plus historically black colleges and universities where they have some great business schools and some great talent that has graduated from those schools. Well, I want to filter out by using maybe those 109 universities, or maybe I take the top 20 population list for colleges of business from an HBCU list and say, okay, this is where I filter that talent out at. Um, or I do the same thing for an organization and see, like, if I put in the keywords for that level of for that organization, what members or what profiles will pop up from there. It's just one of the small ways that you can filter out by, or uh, maybe you take a look and see like what fraternities and sororities, the historically Divine Nine or other Latin or Latinx organizations that you can go ahead and filter out by and see what key members or profiles pop up when you use those terms.
Thank you very much. So there is an hurricane alert in Celia's area, and I'm not sure if it's beginning to affect a net upper or network, because it's definitely going to affect as soon as it eats. I do wish you to be safe, and wherever you are, please make sure you get coverage. And I think the basement is usually the best place. But in all, I wish you safe. I wish you safety. Okay, so thank you very much, Rashad, for that. And like I said, you can always filter through. You can always use boolean strings of words. There's so many ways that you can filter. It's not just about you just putting what you're looking for, the skills you're looking for. You need to also learn how to filter. If you're using LinkedIn, you can filter through location. You can filter through even current job title. You can filter through those places. You can also filter through, like Rashad also mentioned, through education. So that way you can always target. Then sometimes even engaging in campus recruitment is a matter of partnership. Partnership, there are so many other job boards out there. Handshake is there for schools to get to some schools, and you know those schools in those underrepresented environment, or school that has more of the black community, or everyone has a mission. And I know that through the featuring system you can always target the right candidate. So lastly, before we go into the Q&A session, is the candidate experience and employer branding. Every organization wants to be the EEO, equal employer, but they want to give that opportunity. It's a policy that we all have to respect, and how will I put this? Practice, respect and practice the equal employer opportunity. There's a commission around that. There's an act around that. So now, how can we promote candidates experience and also improve our employer branding through diversity sourcing and recruitment? So this is going to go to you now because it's just me and you. You
No,
muted.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So no, one of the things that we want to do to improve the candidate experience, I believe, it's a number of different things. One, we want to make sure that from an attraction standpoint, we are expressing that or showing that we want you as a candidate here and talent like you, right? So that's through marketing, through materials, through other things. And once we start that initial conversation with candidates, that we can be accountable for what we are saying, and we do what we say we're going to do as a talent acquisition team that's representing the company. So if we say, hey, this is when the interview is going to take place, or this is when the call will take place, let's make sure we follow and do that. Just uphold our word like everybody should, but unfortunately sometimes it doesn't happen. And if there is an emergency or something that needs to take place, then you know It's the conversation. Call, be respectful, say what the matter is, and be able to move on from there. Three, I think that along with the candidate experience, um, goes back, like I said, to that intake meeting before. When you are a candidate representing the underrepresented population in employment, I think being able to see yourself, or being able to have conversation with someone that is alike, or someone that is not in the majority, being able to have a conversation with them, being able to be interviewed by them. I know for me, I'm able to hop on any type of interview team, and I'm willing to have that conversation with those candidates that request that and want to learn more. And when you get in those situations, I believe wholeheartedly you have a responsibility, one, to yourself as being truthful. Two, yeah, the company, you should be able to sell the company that you are with. And then three, at the same time, you want to make sure that you're being 100% honest and not saying anything that you don't believe in your heart. So I tell people that I try to be as transparent as I can with them. Every company is not meant for every candidate, but if we're doing great things and we want you to be a part of it, then we certainly want you to think about that. So, and then just overall, is just making sure we get back to people as we possibly can, and not leaving them in a black hole out there.
Thank you very much. Preaching, talking about your employer brand, representing your employer, and that is one thing we as recruiters do on a daily basis. When we talk with candidates, those interviews, the very first thing you open is the organization. When you, even apart from you wanted to know why the candidates chose the organization, you end up also talking about your culture, preaching about your environment, your organization structures, and that's where you are selling your brand. And that is why organizations need to invest in their recruitment processes, in their recruiters, because your recruiters are also brand ambassadors for your organization. I cannot conduct a single interview without talking about how collaborative, how inclusive the environment is. Because as a person of color myself, I have seen a lot. And now that I'm in a place whereby I have a very collaborative environment, a very inclusive environment. I am always happy to say so. I just want to quickly talk about this one topic before we begin to take in questions. If you have questions in the listening sessions, please do not hesitate to share your questions so that we can answer them live. If you do not have, in case you're listening after this time, you can always still send the questions to me. I would answer as much as I can, and of course share with the speakers if it's really directed to them. Let me see. Now, just one more point about being ghosted. Oh, yeah, I know. I want us to just quickly go away from the recruitment aspect now to the talent, to the candidate aspect. And this is about being promoting positive candidate experiences. So now, what would you say, what would be your advice to candidates that think recruiters ghost them?
Yeah, so I think now, in all honesty, one of the great things about the world we live in now is the communication aspect. So you can really get in contact if you create that one-on-one contact with the recruiter. I think there's multiple points to actually be able to um, get in contact with them. Like ghosting, obviously nobody wants ghosting to happen at all. You don't want to get ghosted, and the person ghosting you should feel bad that they did that, first of all. But uh, what I do, this is personally, I one make sure that I connect with the recruiter. Once we make that connection, I'm connecting with you on LinkedIn. So that way I have another source outside of your company information, your company phone and email. And then I try to use the multiple points of contact for that so I don't get ghosted and I'm just following up to say, hey, what's going on? Where am I at? Where are we at with this? It's okay if it's okay if I'm not the candidate. Just let me know. I just want to hear something back, right? So I think that's one of the things. And I wish I could just say, hey, this is the answer to this. But if a person, unfortunately, if they decide to ghost you, then there is not much that you can do about it. I do know candidates who have called the company and spoke with human resources specifically and talked about the position that they had to try to get some type of feedback. And I know that you can do that. Some companies do have hotlines, or some companies do have voicemails where you can leave and try to at least keep the person accountable to what they've done. But the ghosting thing, unfortunately, I I just can't present any specific response to anyone to say, hey, this is what you should do. I can only say what I have done in the past, and that's try to create multiple points of contact so you can get back to the person if you haven't heard from them within a set amount of time, or if they have not responded back to you in the time frame that they said they would.
Thank you very much. I'm just gonna add this quickly. Is sometimes it's not because the recruiter wants to ghost you. We also deal with time management, and as a recruiter, if you are a high volume recruiter, for instance, or a full life cycle recruiter, you're dealing with so much more than interviewing. And it's not because we want to ghost. It's not because of the communication or low communication skills. Sometimes it's just because the hiring managers ghosted us ourselves. Oh, there have been some times that hiring managers are just gonna ghost recruiters and we cannot get updates. And when we do not have updates, and we've always said we do not have updates at this time. Unfortunately, we do not have updates at this time. It becomes an issue. So for positive candidate experiences, no matter how much, if you have updates or not, or even if you've been ghosted by your hiring manager, please let's keep constant communication because we want to promote a very good employer branding for our organization, even for personal branding, also as a recruiter, and also for very good positive experience. We've come to the end of today's session. I'm so excited to have you here, Rashad, and of course, Celia. Um, she wasn't able to end the show with us because of hurricane, and I really do hope she is safe wherever she is. So right now, I'll just see if we have any questions being posted on the comments. But for now, it seems we do not have any. Let me just check this. I think Sarah asked a question. Okay, so we do not have much. We do not have any question apart from the fact that Sarah J mentioned that she's looking to connect with fellow DEI and special emphasis programs, in particular to disabilities and veterans. So if you are in that space, please do connect with Sarah J. She is a mission support specialist at the US. Um, I'm trying to pull out your account so that people can out the US Citizen and Immigration Services. Please do connect with her. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do not have much questions. We do not have any questions for today. It seems we have quite a number of DI advocates and TE just listening and
Oh,
learning. But if you have questions,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
uh, I would say we did a lot of work today, diversifying and just digging into the questions and sourcing strategies. And I know that with what we have provided to our listeners, it's enough to sit back and think and re-strategize. What do you think?
I agree with that. So the one thing that I will say is you want to make sure that you are taking the journey at the correct pace for your company. Don't try to commit yourself to doing too much and push yourself where you're not doing just enough or just a little. Try to get into the right cadence to say, I think these are things that this is where we can move, and I think this is where we are capable of making some gains within this ID&E journey.
Yeah, I do agree with that because, like one of the things I've made emphasis on is defining what diversity actually means to your own organization. If your organization wants to focus on veterans, that is where your energy, that is where your investment will be going. If your organization wants to focus on disabilities, you look into that area. If you want to have more of the people of color, ethnicity, the Latinos, you look into that areas, and there are all the industries, diverse suppliers, job boards that actually target those areas of diversity. So no matter where you are looking at, you just need to know exactly what kind of diversity you want to target. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. We've come into the end of today's session. I want to say thank you for joining us for today's session. You can always text diversify to 6 +1 612 450 4691. That's my personal and direct number to learn more about my DEI consultation. I do assessments, I do talent acquisition assessments, team alignment, organization. If you want to strengthen or you want to create and implement new DEI initiative or recruitment or diversity recruitment strategies for your organization. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to meet with you all and to learn from us. Thank you. Okay, so please do not forget to follow our speakers, both Rashad Humes and Celia Croft on LinkedIn. You can reach out to them directly to learn more about their services and coaching in case they have such programs. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of that, but I know that Rashad does some voluntary work, so he probably has the bandwidth to take on some things, so you can always reach out to him. Also, you can reach out to Celia Croft on LinkedIn. It's their name, you'll find it. They're very easy to find anyway, so find them. And if you can't, you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Florence IDOWU. Like you can see, it's pronounced Idowu on LinkedIn for connection request, and of course for Rashad and Celia's contact. It's been a wonderful session today. Thank you for joining the DEIB Small Talk.